Here live from the Steven Singer Studios. Big Sixers win against a depleted Hornets team. You can't. A big win nonetheless. The Flyers fire their head coach, go out last night, score the first goal, and then next thing you know, they find themselves down 4-1. They're going to lose 7-5. How about that? Funny how that works. Nick Sirianni answers the question about Devontae Smith not getting nearly as many, or nearly, 4 less snaps than Jalen Reagor in the game on Sunday against the Jets. So a lot to dive into, including also another 76ers nugget. Ben Simmons, social media reporting, likes a tweet, an Instagram post, about him possibly going to Portland to play with Damian Lillard. My, oh my, what a show we have for you today. Our friends from the Nasty Knuckles podcast will be joining us momentarily to talk about what Mike Yeo needs to do with this Flyers team going forward. I got to be honest, when a head coach gets fired, especially one that just spends an offseason with the general manager, Chuck Fletcher, talking about how they're going to rebuild this roster and being in on those decisions. And then a week ago, you have the general manager coming out talking about how you got to wait for guys to get back from injury before you can really judge this team. I guess 7 straight losses is kind of going to expedite that process in terms of waiting to see what happens. And that was my takeaway from Chuck Fletcher a week ago, saying, well, I hate wait and see. I've always hated wait and see. And Chuck Fletcher waited like 2 games, and he saw, and then he got rid of Alain Vigneault. From the way I understand it, just from listening to people that I talk to in the hockey world, I know it's not the biggest sport in Philadelphia, but I still love the Flyers and all that. Alain Vigneault's message, the old cliche of a message wearing thin, it happened. And it got to a point with Alain Vigneault, from what I gather, that neither party really believed in one another anymore, whether it was the coach to the player or the player to the coach. And it was just something that needed to be broken up. And another cliche you can throw out here with another coaching firing is this one. You're not going to fire all the players. But in this case, you fired 2 coaches. So there you go. Alain Vigneault being one, Terrier being the other one. So that's the direction that the Flyers decided to go. It felt like it was something that was a long time coming from some people I spoke to. And now the Flyers are going to try to rebound for the rest of their season under Mike Yeo. I'll say this. The effort was there yesterday. It's bad. Claude Giroux had an awesome slap shot in the point to get things started. From the slot to get things started, which was great for the 1-0 lead. Bad turnover where he whiffed on one at the point. That ended up being a shorthanded goal for the Flyers. But like I said, they found themselves with their backup goaltender in net down 4-1. And then they went on to at least go down 4-3. They went down 5-4. And then it was pretty much the Avs after that. But the effort was better. So at least they give them that. They gave the hometown crowd 5 goals. So there's that. But still, 8 straight losses, not exactly where you want to be right now with the Philadelphia Flyers. So we'll see how they do for the rest of the season. Nasty Knuckles guys will be around in a little bit. Riley Cote, Derek Sotomayor, Nasty himself, will be along in just a moment to help us understand what the Flyers are going to do going forward. We talked before the game yesterday, so we won't get too much into that one game, the first game into the Mike Yeo era. Before we get to the Sixers game, let's get to this little nugget of information when it comes to this report by The Athletic. Sam Amick, as well as Shams Charania, putting out the story about Dame Lillard now being open to a trade, not away from Portland like we kind of hoped, but more or less staying in Portland and bringing Ben Simmons into the Blazers organization. So that organization is going through a bit of a change, new front office. They're going to be trying to settle things up there in their front office and see how it goes from there. But Ben Simmons likes the report made about him possibly going to Portland, about how Dame Lillard wants to play with Ben Simmons. As much as I would like that to be here in Philadelphia, Ben Simmons, Dame Lillard, Joel Embiid, that I like that. That sounds good. Tyrese Maxey coming off the bench. Oh, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That's not the case. And that was kind of my first thing when I saw this, when I was scrolling through and saw that news pop up. But that's not going to be, like I said, the case. You're looking at a CJ McCollum. You're looking at picks associated with that. And I know that a lot of times people will look at draft picks and they'll go, oh, you get draft picks. That's just great. Not in this case. Not when we're looking to use Joel Embiid in his prime. That's the number one goal, is getting Joel Embiid, your franchise player, if you will, your MVP candidate, if you will, using him right now to help you win a championship. Picks really don't do a lot for that right now. If you're going to trade those picks, turn into something else, then all right, then we can talk. Then you use them as assets, right? Go back to that old word from the Sam Hinkie era. Go back to those assets to acquire talent. Okay, fine. I just don't see the quick flip, the quick turnaround with Daryl Morey and that happening. I see him using Ben Simmons as that trade piece to bring in a player now to help you win, not a player maybe next offseason to help you. Now, if you get this trade done in the not too distant future, yeah, maybe you could use him at the trade deadline to bring in that big player. I just don't see that as being the marquee thing that Daryl Morey wants to do. Is it possible? Certainly it's possible. Is it horrible? No, it's not horrible. It's not ideal, is what I'm telling you. With this story coming out, it does help the idea of moving on from Ben Simmons. Of course it does. However, I still don't look at CJ McCollum as the guy that I go, that's the guy that I'm trading a 3-time All-Star for. CJ McCollum. Great shooter, great from the outside. We know that Portland in total is going through a lot of transitions, both in the front office and on the court, in terms of trying to find their rhythm, find their game. But right now, especially Dame Lillard, the way he started out the season, but right now, I'm not looking as I've looked for the entire season, looked even since this news came out about Ben Simmons just wanting to get the hell out of here. I have not looked at CJ McCollum and gone, yep, that's the guy. And I get what Daryl Morey's doing from a standpoint of I just don't want to move on just to move on. I don't ever want to just throw my hands up and go, I'm just sick of this Ben Simmons stuff anyway, so let's move on. It hasn't been a huge topic of conversation over the last couple of weeks. It was something we were bringing up almost every single day, something we were kicking around on social media every single day. And then this new report just comes out about Dame Lillard wanting to play with Ben Simmons in Portland. And if all that is bringing you back is CJ McCollum and picks, I'm still not there. I'm not going to let the season roll on with my hands thrown up in the air saying I surrender to Ben Simmons if it means our consolation prize in all this is CJ McCollum. And I think Daryl Morey is of that same mindset. We'll see if the deal changes, see who else gets thrown in, see if anything gets thrown, see if it even comes to fruition. Because like I said, right now you're looking at a Portland Trailblazers squad that's going through a big change in terms of what's going on in their upper management. So I doubt the first thing they're going to do is, all right, let's just change everything. And if they do, maybe that'll work in the Sixers' benefit. Maybe they'll be in a state where we got to show our fan base and we're willing to do something big. And maybe they'll overpay. Maybe they're the people that will jump on Daryl Morey's offering. And that's what Daryl Morey's really been waiting for since the draft, when he was asking the Spurs for like 4 first-round picks, man. He was just saying, yeah, dude, give me this. Pay high right now. Maybe I'll get you to jump on draft night. People do crazy things on draft night. People also do crazy things when they're just looking to impress a fan base that needs impressing, like Portland does, for instance. So I'm still not at the point that a lot of people are at where you just say, it's gone on long enough. I can't just barely beat the Charlotte Hornets without LaMelo Ball. I can't just squeak by. I can't, I have to rely on a Hall of Fame MVP performance from Joel Embiid in order to get by the Hornets. Yeah, I'm not at that point where I just surrender to Simmons and say, bring in McCollum. I'm not there yet. I'll let you know when I get there, but I'm still in the same spot I was in the summer where I am not just giving away Ben. Plus, it's the NBA. The season doesn't even really start till after the All-Star break anyway, so these games even count, or are these still exhibition games? I'll tell you one guy that doesn't believe that they're exhibition games. That's Joel Embiid. I was thinking about this last night. The Eagles winning the Super Bowl was the greatest thing that's happened in the last decade. That's not even close. The next greatest thing to happen to Philadelphia after the Eagles winning the Super Bowl is Joel Embiid. And I know he predates the Super Bowl, but what I'm saying is, you look at the last 10 years, the Eagles Super Bowl and Joel Embiid, those things, and watching Joel Embiid come along, watching his talent, finishing second in the MVP voting, making the playoffs. They've come up short, we all know. But Joel Embiid, after the Super Bowl, is distant second nonetheless. I know it's slim pickings, but he's the best thing that's happened to us since that Super Bowl. I mean, MVP Bryce Harper, phenomenal. Let's just make the playoffs before we start really celebrating what the Phillies will be doing. Flyers, not a lot to celebrate over the last 10 years, unfortunately. And a little Stanley Cup run in 2010, that was great. We had a great time with that. It's been a while. It's been a minute since then. Carter Hart, I want to say, is that guy, but until the Flyers start winning, I can't look at Carter Hart and say that. But, man, I was watching Joel Embiid last night, and I'm looking at it, and I'm saying, look, I know it's the Hornets. I know they're missing like half their roster. But great players elevate you on nights where you don't have it. And we say it all the time about quarterbacks in the NFL. They could be your best deodorant. Goalies in hockey, they could be your best deodorant. Oh, look at this. Look how bad this team's playing. But, that guy carried him. That's Joel Embiid. No matter what's going on around him, how bad players are playing around him, he elevates this team tremendously. And last night is the perfect example of that. And I'm watching him. He has a little explosion there at the end of the first half, comes out strong in the third quarter, finishes strong in the fourth, helps him tremendously in overtime as well. And I'm watching him throughout the game look exhausted. And I'm thinking to myself, he's not going to have another overtime period in him. He's barely even make it to the fourth quarter. And it feels like Doc has been saving him for later in games a little bit more than normal. It feels like he's being taken out of games a little bit earlier than normal, put in later in the second quarter, a little bit later than normal. And I'm watching him, and he just looks fatigued. And he's coming back from COVID. And if you were one of the people to get COVID, I got COVID. I will say I never lost smell, never lost the taste or anything like that, thank God. But I had the spells of exhaustion. And listen to Joel Embiid talk about it 2 weeks ago, where he just said it kicked his ass, that John kicked his ass. I think he got a lot of spells of exhaustion as well, and it looks like he's still trying to find his way out of those spells of exhaustion. He looked like it last night, but then somehow, magically, and after he talked to, or when he talked to the post-game crew, when he talked to Alain and Kate Scott after the game, he had said that he's still going through those spells of exhaustion. He still doesn't feel like he's at 100%. He's still trying to fight his way back from that. Every night he's going to keep on pushing to try to get better and better and better. He's saying all that. He dropped 43 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. Hey, man, I'm looking forward to you getting back to 100%. And especially on a night when it felt like nobody else on your team had it. Shake Milton had a good night for himself as he was starting for Tyrese Maxey. He played well. But really, it was the Joel Embiid show yet again last night. And when you needed someone to step up and hit that big shot, he stepped up and he hit that big shot. And he's done it time and time again. And he's done it twice now since he's come back. He did it against the Hawks, and he did it again against the Charlotte Hornets. Look, you can tell me, like we were saying about the Eagles, oh, it's the Jets. So what are you going to tell me about the Jets? Or, oh, it's the Lions. What are you going to tell me about the Lions? Yeah, it doesn't matter. You got to play who's in front of you, and every game is different, and every game presents a different set of circumstances where one guy or many guys simply don't have it that night, or the guys that normally don't have it on the other team because they're not starters, all of a sudden they're hitting threes like Oubre last night. So when you look at it from that standpoint and realize everything changes every single night on any given night, somebody could lose it, somebody could have it. Joel Embiid has said, to hell with everything else. I'm the guy that's going to elevate this team to at least a win in this particular game. Whether it's the Hornets or whether it's the Brooklyn Nets, whoever it might be, I'm going to be the guy to be the difference maker. And that's what he was. And I have enjoyed watching him and his maturation since day one of the process to now. And I hope it just keeps on coming. And when he gets his legs back under him 100%, you'll see this team hopefully get to new heights, throw in another trade along there as well, and we'll see what happens. I do want to get this in, by the way, just because I want to be clear on this. I look at the Sixers right now, even with Joel Embiid, and I'm not seeing a team that makes it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, I don't want to give off the impression I still think without Ben they could be successful. I want to make sure I make this point. They still need help. Joel Embiid still needs help. I mean, you could do this right now, later in the season in the playoffs. I don't know if he still has it I don't know if he still has it in him to carry this team the way he was able to do over the last couple of games. He still needs somebody of Ben Simmons' level, whether that's an even split of how they can play offensively and defensively, or that's more of a guy that's going to come in here and be that scorer like a CJ McCollum would be. So, and still can play some defense. But he still needs somebody else to come in here and give him more than what Tobias Harris is giving. And that's been my biggest thing in all of this. Whenever we've talked about trading Ben Simmons, I've always talked about how I'm not just getting rid of him. I'm not getting rid of him to get rid of him. And B, I'm not getting rid of him to bring in somebody on a level of Tobias Harris. Not the skill set of Tobias Harris, on the level of Tobias Harris. That's a fringe all-star player. Not an all-star, but fringe all-star player. And that's what Tobias Harris was last year. This year, not so much. And he was even dealing with an illness last night, but was available and pushed through it and played. I'm bringing in somebody that's going to compete. I want somebody to compete with Joel Embiid as leading scorer on this team. I want somebody that's going to push him in that category. If they play a defense, and even a solid defender, that's what I'm looking for. Solid defender and a guy that can score the basketball. That's what I'm looking for. Or a guy that just knocks him down from the outside. That's what I'm looking for also. Like, I'm looking for someone that's going to come in here and get between Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid in terms of scoring. Because you didn't have that with Ben. And if you get that, I think you have something special. Especially with the way Joel Embiid can score. The thing that does attract me with the whole CJ McCollum thing is the idea of the inside-out game, where you can have Joel Embiid down low, kick it out to an open CJ McCollum on the wing, something like that. Something that you like to see develop between him and Seth Curry, him and Danny Green, when Danny Green, the rare occasion that he's hot. Something like that I would like to see develop with CJ McCollum if he does, in fact, come here to Philadelphia. But right now, when it comes to bringing in somebody, it's not just somebody that is going to be a nice piece, obviously. You're bringing in someone that's going to be a big piece to this starting lineup for the Philadelphia 76ers. Somebody that can play between the levels of Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid. That's what you're looking for. Your baseline is Tobias Harris. Your top shelf is Joel Embiid. Give me somebody in the middle right there, because that's essentially what Ben Simmons was in terms of the all-around game. And we'll see what they're able to bring back. But the fact that he's actually in on it seems like, at least that gets the wheels going. Maybe that'll start a conversation between the two organizations with Portland. Restart a conversation between Portland and the 76ers. Before we get to the Nasty Knuckles, guys, Nick Sirianni addressed the media yesterday. And for whatever reason, I'm not able to play the clip, but I do want to I want to relay the message. First off, the injury news from Nick Sirianni yesterday. Jason Kelce, they got positive news on. No timetable for a return. It looks like they hopefully have more information after the bye. Same thing with Jordan Howard. Patrick Johnson, Steven Nelson, both will be back after the bye week. And even Jeff Stoutland, they offered an update on. Just hopefully everything's back to normal there. According to Nick Sirianni, Stoutland looked normal yesterday. So that's Sirianni's medical expertise. But the question that I asked yesterday on this show was, why the hell did Devontae Smith get fewer snaps than Jalen Reagor? That was the question. And Sirianni said they ran a lot of 13 personnel. And with 13 personnel, it called upon Jalen Reagor to be in the game more than Devontae Smith. Doesn't make any damn sense to me. But that's the route Nick Sirianni chose to go. I don't like it. I can't, even if I reach hard, grasp at straws to try to explain why that would be a thing, I can't do it. But here's what I respect. Nick Sirianni said, we didn't punt to our last possession, so I'm not going to apologize for it. Oh, look at the big balls on Nicky there, huh? If you're a head coach and you got to make those decisions, you got to stand behind them. And he stood behind that one. It's like, we won the game. We had one of our most efficient games we've ever had. So that's the way the cookie crumbled. In my wild imagination, I was thinking, well, hold on. Well, what if that wasn't the case? Like, what if the personnel really didn't dictate that? Well, why, what's going on there? Why would you do that? And I'm thinking, Devontae Smith got pretty pissed off at the end of the Giants game. And I was thinking, was any of this punitive? Was any of this, why don't you take a break there, Devontae? And was it also the type of game that you knew you could get away with it with the way the offense was already clicking? And your defense, let's not forget, they allowed 18 points in the first half. Defense allowed 0 points in the second half. So your defense had it going. You knew it was the Jets. You knew you could get away with something like this. And I was just in my sheer speculation, no source telling me, they are punishing them. And plus, if you're punishing them, I don't think you're even making it that close in terms of like a 4-snap differential. But that just got the wheels turning a little bit. But then I heard Nick's answer yesterday, and I went, all right, That's just the way the cookie crumbled in this particular game. So that was the answer to the question. I'm not apologizing for it. That's just the way the game played out. We didn't punt till our last possession. All right, Nick. Nice flex. Nice flex. Let me tell you about the great people at Steven Singer Jewelers, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely love my man, Steven Singer. The other corner of 8th and Walnut, right on Jewelers Row in Philadelphia. Do what I do. Trust Steven Singer Jewelers. Some other jewelers, you know what they're going to do? They're not only going to upcharge you during the holiday, you know what else they're going to do? They might run out of inventory. Steven, fully stocked. No shipping delays. He's got the goods, ladies and gentlemen, especially with those beautiful Anita diamond stud earrings. Flawless, near colorless to the eye. Absolutely gorgeous. And how about this for a perfect price? Just under $270 for these beautiful Anita diamond earrings. Need a gift for the holidays? Steven's got you covered. Fully stocked and the perfect price every single time. No discounts, no sales, no promo codes. You walk in there, Farzy sent me. You go ahead and say that. I'd like that. But it just gets you the perfect price, just like everybody else, every single time. So this way you don't have to go in there and be like, oh, the sale was yesterday. No. The sale's every day with the perfect price at Steven Singer Jewelers. The other corner of 8th and Walnut. IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. So do what I do. Trust Steven Singer Jewelers every single time. Flyers got themselves a new head coach. And when there's a big hockey conversation, we like to turn to our friends at the Nasty Knuckles podcast, Derek Settlemeyer, as well as Riley Cote. They're going to help explain to us what Mike Yeo could do for this team going forward as the Flyers, hopefully, starting now, not after last night's loss. And again, to remind you, we taped this before the game last night. I wanted to get their take on the firing more than anything. How they turn this around in the not-too-distant future. Let's cross our fingers for that. Without further ado, let's turn to the Nasty Knuckles podcast. And joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, your favorite hockey podcast out there and web show, Nasty Knuckles. We got Riley Cote. We got Derek Settlemeyer here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk some pucks. Alain Vigneault gets axed by the Flyers, the latest casualty of the Flyers head coaching job, I guess. Fellas, Nasty, I'll start with you. Reaction to Alain Vigneault getting the axe?
Well, I hate to see anyone lose their job. Obviously, I know what it's all about. It sucks, but I mean, this has just been a mess, and I think it had to be done. Unfortunately, I was almost shocked that it took this long, and I hate saying that because I like AV,
right?
But it's just when things are just, I mean, it just keeps getting worse, game after game. We talked about this earlier today on our show OT. You see the frustration, you feel so bad for guys, but I mean, something had to give here. And unfortunately, in the business, that's what happens. And the coach is usually the first to go. And, Chuck had to pull the trigger there.
Riley, how about you, man? What was your reaction to the news?
Yeah, much like Nasty. I mean, I saw this coming a mile away. I thought it would have been done maybe last week, but 8 games, 0-8. You got to do something. I think firing the coach is the first and easiest thing you can do to shake things up. Just the nature of the business, right? You lose games, someone's got to go. It's usually the coach. It's the way it is. To me, it wasn't shocking at all. It was inevitable the way things were going, and we'll see how it changes the play of the guys.
One of the things that I did find interesting was a little bit more than a week ago, Chuck Fletcher addressed the media and was talking about injuries this, injuries that. We'll see how we do when we get guys back. And I guess when it got to 8 straight losses, that was a little too much to wait for. I mean, did you guys get that same kind of vibe?
Yeah. I mean, I understand where he's coming from in saying that, but you're still about 4 weeks away from Ellis probably, who's a huge part of this team. Then, unfortunately, a day after he says that, Farabee goes into the boards, losing an edge, goes into the boards. He's out 2 to 4. We don't know how long. Brassard, I think, had a backward step here, is what I heard. You can't wait around. They're not the only team that has injuries as well. I mean, we talked about that. Also, Pittsburgh hasn't had Malkin in their lineup yet. Sid just came back. There were some other teams we were talking about that Backstrom and Washington hasn't even played a game. Oshie's out. I mean, those are big names. Flyers have some big name players. Hazy's missed most of the season. He's back, says he's feeling better. But yeah, man, it sucks. But you can't sit around and wait till January to see what you're at. The way it's going now, Christ, if you lose a couple, 3 more in a row, you're really in a bad spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he had to do something. I mean, I think it was two losses since his last little, State of the Union type of deal. But you got to stop the bleeding. These aren't just exactly like small losses. They're getting absolutely destroyed. I mean, especially last night for sure. But you got to do something. I mean, I know in the moment when he said that, he was trying to be patient, thinking that maybe they squeezed out 1 or 2 wins, and then all this negativity maybe goes away temporarily. But 8 straight losses. You got boo-birds. I mean, there wasn't a fan in the stands yesterday in the third period that, stayed for the third period, but the ones that did stay, they're booing. I mean, it was just like one of those things. You have to make a move. Ignacy's saying you go 3-4 more games and they drop 2-3 more. Then you're just digging yourself in a bigger hole. So you have to make a move.
Mike Yeo takes over as the interim head coach. What do you guys know about him? What do you think he's going to bring to the table? What's one of the first things you think he needs to do as the Flyers' new, albeit interim, head coach?
Well, I know Yosi a bit, and a great guy. I know the players really like him. Riles can attest this. When you're an assistant coach, you kind of have a different role, though. You're kind of a buffer. Now he's the head coach. But I know when he was in St. Louis, I know a few of the guys on the team, and they really liked him. And he was an easy guy to deal with. He was fair to the players. But if you watched his press conference today, he wants the team to play hard, like not fighting every 5. But he's like, I want a hard-hitting team. I want these guys that that's the way to correct things. I like where he's going with that, but you got to have everybody on board. He wants these guys to play hard first and foremost, and then kind of work on things. He has a few hours to get ready for his first game, behind the bench. So I think you're going to see him play very, very hard for Yosi. They got to turn it around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Riley, you've been a player, you've been a coach. What does this team need to do?
Well, I think expectations of coaches are very similar. I mean, what coach doesn't want hard work and to play a more physical brand of hockey and all that good stuff. So I don't know necessarily what he's going to do differently. He's been in the locker room the last 3 seasons. He knows what he's got as far as talent goes. But I mean, if you can get these guys to just dig in a little deeper, I think to me, like, yes, they're losing games, but they're not even losing close games. So if you can at least get closer to a win based on just work, you know what I mean? Like Nasty's saying, it's like, yes, we got to dig in a little harder. We got to work a little harder. I'm not sure if it's a system issue or if guys were just disconnected to the message or the philosophy of AV or whatever it lands up being. But anytime you get a new coach in the mix, a new voice, generally, at least at the start, guys respond and play a little harder, because it's like, if this don't work, then it's on every single guy in that locker room, which it should be already. But I expect the guys to, at least for the first few games, to show some sort of life. And then after that, I'm not sure where it goes. I'm not sure if the play is to keep Yo there, or they're looking at bringing in someone else. But whatever it is, I know the conversation in the locker room right now isn't about who's behind the bench. It's about like the guys in the locker room and pulling together and finding ways to win games. That's the bottom line. But the philosophy, I don't see it changing a whole lot. But maybe it's just a little more emphasis on getting on the defenseman a little quicker, generating a little more turnovers, maybe more greasy plays to the net, whatever that lands up being, just being a greasier hockey team, because they're not going to outskill anybody right now.
Mm-hmm. When a coach does get fired, they move on to a new coaching staff and all that stuff. What happens in the locker room? Some people talk about a message. It falls on deaf ears, his voice. They need a new voice in the dressing room, whatever it might be. What happens when that actually does take place? Are there cases where they definitely need that new voice in there? Is this one of those cases, you think?
I think by watching last year and then after the first, 10 games of this year, I think it's pretty apparent that was the problem, or it was affecting their play. I don't know. You hate to make excuses, but nothing seemed to be working. So, again, you hate to see someone lose their job, but I mean, this was not going well. They weren't overtime losses. They weren't 3-2 losses. We're talking 7-1 at home.
Jeez.
6'2", 5'1" on the road. Like, I mean, just things weren't clicking. You could see the frustration on the players and the coaches and everyone. It's not fun when you go through this. A few years ago, we went through a 10-game stretch where we didn't win a game. But in saying that, they weren't 7-1 losses. They were like, you're still banging your head because you're losing that many games, but they were a lot closer, and it seemed to be more effort. I'm not saying their guys aren't giving effort, but it almost looks like they're not, but they are. We know they are. So I think maybe this time it was probably the right thing to do, obviously.
Yeah, I think once the players start disconnecting from the coach's message for whatever reason, whether it's the message itself or the person themselves, I think that's the biggest thing. What I've learned in coaching is you got to nurture the relationships of your players, right? I say especially the elite guys, like the higher end guys, because you lose one or two of those guys, everyone else kind of follows these guys. So I mean, preserving your relationships is key. That to me is more important than the system itself. There's going to be mistakes. I think everyone understands the systems themselves and the philosophy of what they're trying to accomplish. But when the players deal with adversity and teams deal with adversity, the people's true colors come out, and then it's like, how are we going to deal with this? And I think some coaches, and I don't know AV really. I mean, I've met him a couple of times, so I don't know how he is with players, but eventually the message can get stale. And not even so much the message of the system, like I'm saying, but like the way the coach is communicating. Is the coach being accountable, or is he, is he pointing fingers? You know what I mean? I don't know exactly how it's going in the locker room, but to me, this type of thing needs to happen. Coaches generally have especially in pro sports, hockey specifically, a pretty short shelf life, and the way the coach communicates can land up wearing on guys, and then eventually it's like if it wears on guys and guys tune out, then it's kind of what we see right now. I would think that this is a team not playing for their coach. I was at the game yesterday. It was when they generated some scoring chances, especially early, got some shots on net, but I mean, no spirit, no jam, no fight, and to me, that's just like, what are you playing for now?
Right.
And it should be pride, but they're disconnected from the message. So hopefully Yo can reignite some energy and some spirit back in him.
On that note, and I know you can always say, that guy doesn't need my advice or anything like that, but, Nasty, if he calls you, you said you know him a little bit, obviously. Riley, same thing. Like, you look at a guy like Mike Yo and you say, if you were to give him one piece of advice, if you were to say, hey, maybe give this a shot, what's the first thing you'd like to see from a stylistic approach or strategy approach with this hockey team? Maybe even a change of lines. I don't know. What's something that you would like to see in the not too distant future him try to initiate with this interim tag?
Well, gosh, I mean, the way it's been, the guy to try to relax the guys a little bit. Like, I mean, I know that's easy to say, but it's almost like we talked about this earlier. Like, they're squeezing their sticks. Like, just try to hey, let's have some fun here. I know we're losing. Like, that's my biggest thing. Like, I've never been a coach. I've never been a GM, just a pigeon equipment guy, but I've been around a lot of good coaches and things like this. And I think, Riley, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but you played. Like, you got to just stop thinking so much and go out and play and have fun, play together, play hard. I know it's cliche, but that's my biggest thing. And I think Yossi's that kind of guy that's what he's going to do. I mean, I'm not going to be in there to tell you what he does, but that's just what I think of.
Right? Yeah. And I think it goes back to what we said earlier. And I know it sounds very, very simple, but it's just getting the guys to dig in a little harder, like get on the forecheck a little harder, pressure the defenseman a little faster. And I think like if you start playing with a little more jam and spirit, you'll create more turnovers, have possession a little bit more. Simple stuff, like just getting the puck to the net. Like yesterday, how many times did the Flyers missed the net? Just like on some good opportunities, you missed the net. Just get it on the net, generate a secondary opportunity. There's nothing overly complicated about the hockey game. It's just like, to Nasty's point too, is like when everyone's trying really hard, probably too hard in the sense of like you now sacrificing actual smart work versus the physical work. And, there's a couple goals yesterday. It's like, do your job, like you do someone else's job when you leave a man open and then all of a sudden, there's a breakdown there. Just do your job, play the man hard and just get back to basics. But I think if you just start skating a little hard, I say skating a little hard. I remember when Chief took over, how many years ago, it took about a month to get these guys back into skating shape. But then it seemed like the energy and the attitude of the players seemed to have turned around. And it was just like simple fundamentals, just like just move your feet a little more, get on that defenseman a little quicker, make him make a bad play, get a stick on the puck because you're just there instead of being 10 feet out. Little stuff, little things like that. You're playing up against like the best players in the world. Like you got to find ways to just disturb the breakouts and try and create a little more turnovers. I think if they do stuff like that, and to me, it's just like their scoring opportunities aren't necessarily very grade A. They get a lot of shots, perimeter shots. Let's go to the greasy areas. Like look at the goals that Tampa scores yesterday. There's a couple of nice goals, but there's some traffic. Big Pat Maroon's in front of the net. He's screening Carter Hart and whatnot, and just get to the net and be hard to play against. I think to me, it's just nuts and bolts type of stuff. And I think Yo is he's a player's coach. He's from what I understand, I don't know him. I've met him a couple of times, but it sounds like he's a player's coach in the minor leagues. Guys really liked him. Eventually found his way as a head coach in the NHL and stuff like that. But he seems to be able to be a good communicator with players. But he demands hard work, and I think one of his first quotes in one of the things I read was, "Let's get these guys skating and working a little more efficiently." So.
All right. Well, hopefully he's able to do that. Before I let you guys go, one of your most recent episodes of Nasty Knuckles, you talked to one of my favorite human beings ever to walk the face of the earth, Bernie Perrant. If any Flyers fan needs to hear from Bernie Perrant right now, if ever you need to hear from him, right now is the time, obviously.
Yeah, he's awesome. Bernie's awesome. I think he's invited us out on his boat, which I'm not a big boat guy, and he's talking about going 80 miles out. And I'm telling Riles, I don't know, but I'll do it if we have to. But he offers us that. He's like, "You're coming." But then he just kept saying, Riley mentioned to him about, "Do you have anything you want to plug here at the end of the show? Like anything you got going on?" He goes, "Well, I think I need to plug my boat with you two getting on it so it doesn't sink." And I said, "Well, shit, you're the one that invited us."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's a special human. For anybody that hasn't met Bernie, he has a way to make you feel like $1 million. And he just went through back surgery, so he was dealing with some recovery issues right now. But nonetheless, his spirit is light and lifted. So I wish him the best in his recovery. But he's a special human for sure.
He's looking at a guy like Bernie Perrant. He's the guy that he's the relative you can't wait to show up for Thanksgiving. Like, hey, is Uncle Bernie here yet? You know what I mean? Like he's that guy.
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
I absolutely love Bernie. You guys are taping, I believe, the time we air this today, I believe with Joffrey Lupul for your latest episode.
Yes.
Yep. Loops. Yep.
Loops.
Fantastic. To play with him a couple weeks ago at the Flyers alumni games. Nice to see him. He seems to be doing well. But yeah. Loops is a good human too. So looking forward to reconnecting.
Awesome. Look forward to that episode as well. Two quick things for you guys. One, do you guys believe in jinxes?
I do a little bit. Why?
Well, I want to be honest because my audience knows this. You guys might not know this. So I kind of went to the Flyers game. I believe it was November 18th against the Lightning, and that's the first game they lost of their 8 straight losses. So I believe I jinxed the Flyers. I might be taking sole responsibility for Alain Vigneault taking his job. That's getting his job back. That's pretty much. I just want to be open with you guys. You know what I'm saying? So I might be a mush.
Farzy, I do need to tell you this. I did speak to Yossi today after his press conference, and I let him know about the big-time goals you scored, although it was ball hockey.
Yeah, clutch player.
They're looking for a clutch player, and I let him know you had Nike gloves. He likes the old school stuff, so you might be getting a call here this afternoon.
I'll be ready. As long as I have like 4 to 5 months to get ready and get into game shape, I will be there.
Going to say to recover.
Yeah, after the tryout, I'll need that much time to recover, right. And then I could play maybe next year for him. And hopefully that'll be the case. And then last thing, guys, I like to do my research. What can I say? I like to do my research. I was reading this story about Mike Yeo from his days in Minnesota. And it had like the profile pieces, like get to know your coaches and all that stuff. And then one thing he said he watched when he was growing up, his favorite show growing up was Scooby-Doo. So between the two of you, Riley, Nasty, what were your favorite cartoons growing up?
Ooh, mine?
Oh, man.
Probably.
I ask the tough questions.
You do.
Yeah, you do. I think going back, my very first favorite were the Super Friends.
Super Friends.
Super Friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like, Batman, Superman.
Right.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
It's old school. I'm old, though.
You are old.
I'm
yeah.
old. So that was one of my favorites. I used to like Tom and Jerry, too.
Yeah, Tom and Jerry, yeah.
Classics. Classics.
He's going to say Scooby-Doo and Shaggy was his favorite.
Well, who doesn't like some Scooby snacks?
Exactly. That's my point.
I was also
You don't say.
Ninja Turtle guy. Yeah.
Oh, were you?
A little bit,
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
A little Raphael action.
Yeah.
Were you a Raffi guy? See, I was a Michelangelo guy.
You were, right? Yeah. Yeah. I was between Raphael and a Leonardo guy,
You're a leader. You're a leader.
Yeah,
what can I say?
Right.
Yes.
The fellas, the great guys of the Nasty Knuckles podcast and web show. Make sure you guys check them out wherever you get your podcasts as well. Joffrey Lupul is coming out soon. They already got Bernie Perrant right there as well for episode number 51. Episode 52 will be Joffrey Lupul. Riley, Nasty, thank you guys so much for coming on the Farzy show. Much appreciated. Always great talking pucks with you guys and talking about snapping biscuits.
Sauce and a biscuit.
Snapping the biscuits around.
Snapping a biscuit. Next time I'll wear the gloves, I promise.
I love it. Thanks, Farzy, for having us,
All right, brother.
man. You're the best.
You're the best. Thank you so much. The guys of Nasty Knuckles, ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Thanks once again to Nasty and Riggs, Riley Cote, for joining the show there from the Nasty Knuckles podcast. Again, that was before the Flyers lost their 9th straight. I think I said earlier they lost their 8th straight. 9 straight losses now. 0-1 and 0 against with Mike Yeo now as the bench boss for the Flyers. But 9 straight losses overall. That's where we're at right now. And it's funny. I think you hear this in hockey more than anywhere, because if you work your ass off in hockey, odds are you're gonna win some battles, right, and all that stuff and all those cliches. And those guys were acknowledging that they sound cliche, but it's a lot of things that they haven't seen from the Flyers in 8 or 9 games now. Well, the last night I could say that they were trying to they were at least giving the effort. But listening to them talk about it, it seems like this team just was out on their coach, and their coach was out on them. That's not a recipe for success. So now Mike Yeo takes over, and maybe he's a guy trying to make a name for himself, because of course he is. You get this much time left in the season to try to make a name for yourself as a head coach of a national hockey organization. You have that opportunity. You want to make the most of it. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to make the most of this situation. He's going to try to get the most out of these players. And hopefully he can do that. Hopefully these players respond to it. Drew even said yesterday, anytime you fire the head coach, it's never one person. It's always more than that. It's always the team. And hopefully they respond to that going forward. 5-goal game last night. Still a loss nonetheless. It's not about scoring a lot more goals overall. It's about scoring more goals than the other team on any given night. And that's not what they did last night. So bottom line is they need to get a win. Can't let that get to 10. Hopefully they do that. They're back in action, by the way, tomorrow night against the Devils at North Jersey. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock puck drop in North Jersey. Let me tell you about the great people of Rothman Orthopaedics. I'm looking forward to sitting down with Dr. Stash tomorrow for part of Rothman Orthopaedics podcast. They asked me to come on and basically host a podcast for them. And I said, hey, absolutely. Why not? Look forward to talking to Dr. Stash. Let you guys know where you guys can check that out after we record it. But how about this? Remember the old you? There you go. I say that slow enough this time. The one that didn't have to put up with a fickle knee or a finicky hip or a shoulder that no longer did what a shoulder should do. The Rothman approach to orthopedics is here to get you back to being you. Back to running, walking, working, back to playing, back to living your life the way you want. The same-day appointments are available as well at Rothman Orthopaedics, and you can start today at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopaedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and 76ers. How about the amazing people at BetQL? Got in on a little action from BetQL last night. Thank you very much, BetQL. If you want to get the advantage over your sports book, you need to download the BetQL app. The only app you'll need to make the smart bets. Their best bet computer model scans everything from point spreads, props, over-unders, everything. They have over 350,000 unique bets per year that they scan with their best bets computer model. It's amazing. Don't even use their model and prefer to do your own research? BetQL has all the necessary tools for your betting research needs. Everything from sharp data, line movement, Team summaries, lineups, injuries, breaking news, and even a leaderboard to help you track your own success. Head to the App Store or Google Play Store now to download the BetQL app. How about the amazing people at PHL Sports Nation? That's Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. Follow all the big stories in the Philadelphia sports scene with PHLSportsNation.com. WinView. Make sure you guys are checking out all the props and all the bets you could be making with the WinView app. I will tell you, it's not a daily fantasy app. It's not a sports book. It's a social gaming app where fans can take on other fans to win real money prizes for making predictions on the games that you love so much. If you have a friend or family member that thinks they know everything about sports, challenge into a WinView challenge and see if they can walk the walk as well as they talk the talk. Download the WinView app right now. Have yourself a good time. You can play a quarter of Thursday Night Football in that. You can play all the Sunday games. You can play Monday Night Football, everything. Have yourself a good time with the WinView app. Download the WinView app right now. Challenge a friend to a contest and win yourself a couple of bucks while you're at it with WinView. Download the WinView app right now. Have yourself a good time. Now it's time for our chat check. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot of people coming in. Really appreciate it. People commenting. I missed Dan Schwartz earlier in the chat, and apparently he said he had to go clean up something. So, Dan, we miss you as always. Luigi, hello. Mac, Matt, Mopar, John Cheeseborough, Alex, what's going on? Brian, nice to see you. If I could, would you? Alyssa, what's going on? Jock Strap. Is that actually Gardner Minshew? Who, yes. And every once in a while, it catches your eye if you go on to like any of the reference pages, like baseball reference, football reference, all that stuff. You check that out, and they'll have the nicknames of guys. And I'm like, a lot of times they'll just be like weird nicknames, like nobody calls that guy that guy. And then I look at Gardner Minshew and it's Jockstrap, and I go, that's odd. I wonder how that happened. And then I go down to the numbers and check my own, it was what I'm thinking. The numbers to support my opinion, whatever. And I'll ignore it. And then it became a big thing yesterday. There's people, I think it was Pick Six Pod, put it out there with Gardner Minshew's nickname as Jockstrap. Okay, that sounds about right. But yes, so Jockstrap, if that's you, Gardner Minshew in our chat, welcome aboard. Nice to have you. Hannah, what's up, Hannah? Nice to see you. Hannah's sister is a meteorologist for CBS 17 in North Carolina. Hannah, they don't call her Hannah says they don't call her a weather girl, though. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of outdated. Like, what's the you know what, Hannah? I'd love to talk to your sister and just say, hey, what do you got to do to be a meteorologist? There's a lot of studying. Do I got to go to school for 7 years? I ain't doing that. Like, what's the deal there? Gabe, welcome in. Nice to have April. What's up, April? Nate, what's going on? Mopar, if I didn't say hi yet, hello. The Nasty Knuckles. I like when Nasty Knuckles is commenting on a Nasty Knuckles interview. That's awesome. For whatever reason, I'm trying to load more comments on my chat, and I can't for whatever reason. Mac, I see you. Farzy, I'd rather have Lil Toots than Rager. For those that don't know, Lil Toots is my daughter, Emanuela, and Lil Toots became her nickname actually by my wife. And I hated it because she started calling her LT. And I'm like, no, we can't use LT. There's already too many LTs in the sports world. And then Trey Thomas, my former partner and current friend, was like, I love that, Lil Toots. So they're Lil Toots it is. I will tell you real quick, and I'm really trying to be conscious about this. I don't want to go on too many stories of my daughter, but I couldn't place it for the longest time. My daughter's a little over 2, so she's going through terrible 2s into the awful 3s and all that stuff. But like, she's just so damn adorable. Like, she's got this blonde curly hair, blue eyes. She got a big fat face like I do. She got the Farzetta face. Sorry, kid. And when she gets angry now and says no, she like shakes her head and her curls go crazy. And she's like, no. And she's like that. It's really hilarious. And I couldn't place who she sounded like. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. If you've ever seen the movie Man on the Moon or are familiar with the character Tony Clifton with Andy Kaufman in his heyday, she sounds like Tony Clifford. That's what she sounds like when she's angry. My 2.4-year-old daughter sounds like a old 80s bit from Andy Kaufman. That's an obscure reference in my idiot brain, but that's what she sounds like. Bob, what's your last name? Up and down in the water? Anyway, that's what Lil Toot sounds like now. I wish Sirianni would get injury updates before going into the post-game presser. Just annoys me. John, it annoys me all the time. Reed was pretty open with the injuries. He'd start off with injuries, then timeshares. We all know that. And then Chip Kelly would always be like, oh, I haven't talked to the doctor yet. What do you? Oh, you wanted information? Oh, we're having a press conference for information. Oh, my God, no way. So annoying. If I could, would you? I hope Kelsey is fine, as do I. Can't stand seeing nasty Nate Herbig launching snaps over quarterbacks' heads. Here's my plan. I think Jason Kelsey's going to be fine in 2 weeks. I think he's going to come back. I don't think he's going to miss any time. But if he does, here's the dream scenario. Brandon Brooks comes back. Landon Dickerson moves over, and he's your center. That's my solution to this problem. Max asking me, how was Checkers last night, Farzy? I didn't go to Checkers. I had a very healthy meal. I don't remember what it was, but I was still hungry when I woke up this morning, so that means I didn't eat. I ate a healthy meal the night before. Wait, what the hell? Sean Gentry with the earliest Phillies prediction ever. Phillies will win 87 games. Is he watching like an old show from like April? What the hell? All right. I hope that's, I hope they win more than that. Baseball's dead to me right now, folks. Baseball's dead to me. You know why? They locked us out. The most overdramatic term in sports. Sick people in this chat. Matt, you are correct. Mopar, Cecily's thumbs. Interesting. Wow, you guys, really a lot going on here in this chat. John Cheesebro. Jalen Reagor is using AAA batteries when your remote needs AA. Isn't that annoying? Jalen Reagor is like turning the AC on in your car when it's snowing outside. Yo, Fuji, what's going on? You have fired too many proven coaches, Ken Hitchcock, Peter Laviolette, and now AV. Paul Holmgren is the problem. I don't think you're far off. Yo, I want everyone to play hard. There's a new concept, never been done in the NHL before. Alyssa, hello again. Hi, friends. Hello. The one constant of the 10 years has been Claude Giroux. Time to go, yo. I like what you did there, Mopar. Here's the thing. I don't look at Claude Giroux as the problem. Normally I'd look at anybody who's been there 10 years as the captain, the leader, and the whole thing, and you've got one first-round playoff series to show for it. I would look at it and go, oh, captain needs to change. But, man, I've looked at so many other guys around him, and I know you can make the argument, oh, great players elevate everybody else. Who are you relying on? Who on this roster is Claude Giroux going to elevate? Travis Konecny, where's he been? Jake Voracek, when he was here, was invisible. Cam Atkinson scored his first goal last night in over a month. Who are the people? Who's the supporting cast? Scott Lawton? I just think it's a bad roster overall. And I look at Claude Giroux as a guy I know is going to be there every night. He's going to show up every night. Had an awful mistake last night. Also had 2 goals for him last night. I look at it, and here's another comment here. Mopar, it's 28's job to motivate his squad. I would love for that to be the case, but as well as even if they're the most motivated squad in the world, they're just not that good. I look at the front office, and I look at 4 years of Ron Hextall with no win now mentality of the 10 years that Claude Giroux has been here. Yes, Claude Giroux needs to be better. I'm not denying that, but I can't put it all on him when I look at so many other holes in this roster. And that's where, like Fuji was saying, it goes above that. It goes to people that are making personnel decisions. So Chuck Fletcher, got to get talent around the rest of this team. Maybe the Flyers at the end of this year, we have Claude Giroux in the final year of his deal. Maybe when they move on, or if they trade him before the deadline, if things really go bottom up. Look, I think this bottom line is I think that this team is going to go through major changes over the next year. Jockstrap, best hockey ever. Oh, there's a meteorologist, fan favorite. See, this is what a sports talk radio show. What? Bernie is the best. I think I said it during the interview, but I know I said it after. Maybe I said it after. Bernie's just like that favorite uncle that you can't wait to show up. I love listening to you guys who are actually know hockey, talking hockey. That's why I bring the Nasty Knuckles guys in, because I'm just some in all honesty, when it comes to like all the major sports teams in this city, I am the most fan. I like still have it most in me to be just fanboy when it comes to the Flyers. So that's why I defer to experts like those two when it comes to talking like real hockey. And I'll even post like if we're talking just as friends, I'll be like, hey, I'm just some big dumb idiot here, but it looks like to me this. And they'll be like, oh yeah, kind of Farzy. And even if I was dead wrong, they're too nice to be like, well, this guy's an idiot, eh? You know what I mean? But anyway, spot on, Farzy. They have no talent. Thank you, thank you, Jim. I like Mr. Giroux. Okay, Sushi. You can't win with one player. CG28 is an all-time Flyer. He absolutely is. And what was it? Was it power play points last night that I see that he tied the other guy, the fella, the guy that's big no teeth, Bobby Clark? Yeah, that's nice. Drew was a good player, never a great player. No, I disagree. I think he was a great player. I think at the time Peter Laviolette called him the greatest player in the world. A little over the top, but he was playing. He was great. Like that up-tempo pace that I thought Alain Vigneault was going to bring to this Flyers team has not gotten back to the days of Peter Laviolette. That's for sure. They need more talent around him. I don't think I think of all the people that could be the problem on the team, I don't think Giroux is the problem on this team. He'll tell you, he'll be honest about needing to motivate players as the captain of this team. And I agree. Like if you're a professional athlete, you need that kick in the ass from somebody else. There's something wrong with you. It's not something wrong with the player that's trying to reach you to how to motivate you. Giroux needs. Bottom line is Giroux needs to be better, and so does the rest of this damn team. And it does not just come down to the one coach. Although the Flyers will yet again hide behind that. Thanks everybody in the chat. Much appreciated. Great catching up with you guys in the chat. Check. Let's rush into our morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. As I mentioned, Sixers back in action tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. They play Charlotte yet again. Here's the other thing that pissed me off about Charlotte last night. Not only did it have like half the roster, it was the second part of a back-to-back for Charlotte. Okay. And the Sixers struggled that much. Flyers back in action tomorrow night, 7 o'clock against the Devils. We'll keep tabs on what's going to happen with this whole Ben Simmons thing and the possibility of a trade to Portland with him liking a post on social media. We'll also try to get you guys as much updates. Oh, wanted to give you guys this little tidbit of information. A couple of little birdies told me this. The Eagles in 2 weeks could be playing Washington in prime time. NBC just may flex that game. Looking at the schedule and who Fox has, who CBS has, and looking at who they want to protect, because it's not like, and some people think it's like, oh, NBC just goes, oh, we're going to take that game, and then they give it to them. It's not how it works. They have pull, obviously, when you have like the number one show in prime time. But a few little birdies, are telling me that Eagles are being considered for primetime football in 2 weeks when they return from their bye week. So let's look at that. We'll see if that comes out. I think that has to be announced today, if it is announced at all. So we'll see how that works. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Much appreciated. My thanks, Jim Hyde, to produce the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. Have a great rest of your day. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow on a fine Wednesday morning. Take it easy, everybody.